Hopefulness 2.0, day 16. It is Wednesday, my dudes. And I'm gonna think about, well, I'm gonna attempt. Not think about, I'm gonna attempt to make some sourdough again. Oh, I did, okay. Shit. Oh yeah, just landed that shot. Sweet. So got me some AP flour. Let's move you out of the way here real quick. I got me some King Arthur whole wheat flour. And I got me some King Arthur bread flour. Got those yesterday. Smart and Final delivery. Even got, I don't know why I thought this hadn't picked it up, but I got some more coconut oil too. I didn't get the peanut butter though, but I can get some more of that when I go back to Food for Less. I'm gonna go back at some point anyway, the next couple of days. I got quite a bit of chicken thighs, more than I expected, but that's good because I'm just gonna keep cooking them every day. Oh man. I'm kind of not feeling it though. That's the only problem. But that's how I've been feeling about a lot of stuff recently. I just ain't been feeling it. I don't know. Something about last week on Monday was like, hey, let's almost. It was almost like I had manic energy, which was weird. I got so much done. And then it was like I crashed. I'll be right back. I'm just doing some squishy shit. So, you know, most ceiling fans have a little switch on them that you can switch back and forth. And for the most part, they're on a default to where when they turn, you know, the blades are like this, right? And as they turn, they swing this way, thus the air hits it and goes down. Well, you can have it switch back, you can switch it up and have it swing backwards where the air goes up. For all intents and purposes, generally speaking, when the weather is warmer, you want the air to be pushed down. When the air is colder, when the temperature outside, etc., is colder, and you know you're dealing with indoor hot air and stuff like that, you want the air to be pushed up because you want to circulate. You want to mix as much of the air as possible to warm it up. And so any colder air that might happen to be, well, what you're doing also is any hot air that's up there, you're pushing that around instead of just letting it sit. And so it's helping to churn anything that you may, and if it's also getting colder up there at any given point, it'll churn out away. So yesterday I switched it back to where it's pushing the air down, but I kept just getting too much air blasted at me. So today I'm switching it back to do the push up to see how it works, because I like having circulated air, of course, but I don't really like having too much of it blasting at me directly, especially from above. So we'll see how that works out. This is the 6th banana bread I've made, and fuck, I don't even know how long. Was the first one I made last Monday? It might be. No. Sunday, I think. Because I made the sourdough on Monday. No, but I also made... Oh, but it burned... Well, not burned it so much. It almost got burned. I don't even remember the first one I made. I'd have to look back online when I made my first post and stuff about it, but... Anyway. It was the second one that I kind of screwed up. Which I believe was the same day that I made the sourdough. But I didn't cook the sourdough until the day after I made it. I don't know, it doesn't matter. At least not right now, because I can't figure it out. I got some onions, just a couple, literally 2. Got a big ass bag of carrots. I'm going to make meatloaf at some point in the coming days. Either today or tomorrow. And that's the reason why this is out, because I was thinking of using my microplane, since in Adam Ragusa's video he showcases using something similar. But this one is too small. And you know what he does is he's got carrots and he shreds them up. Then he gets an onion and shreds it up. Into the pan directly, and then cooks them and everything. So I'm like, all right, let's try that, because that specific recipe for his meatloaf is intended to dirty as few dishes as possible, which I'm down for. I mean, if that's not obvious. So good. And then, like, he doesn't even use the loaf pan for the meatloaf. He shapes it into a loaf in the actual pan. So I'm like, alright, I gotta try this one out just to see. Now, what I don't have is something akin to a ketchup glaze. I could probably fashion one in some sense. I could mix maybe some, because I've got those small cans of tomato sauce. What I probably could do, because I also got some panko, which, like, I was surprised, to be honest, like, how big. Where'd you go? It said 8 ounces, right? This is 8 ounces. I mean, it's really light, of course, so that makes sense. But I was like, there's a lot more than I expected. But that's a good thing, because I wanted more. I'm not going to be making my own breadcrumbs, because that would mean that I would have to make my own bread at this point. And, I mean, I'm having a hard enough time with that, to a degree. I mean, this is combo bread / muffin. And it's sort of cake, but not really. I was legit about to pick up my starter and take a sip from it. That would have been weird. Not exactly ideal either. And the thing is like, this is still pretty moist, but despite it still being relatively moist, I mean, I didn't. So like the first time that I stored it overnight. Because like the very first one, I think I just ate it all. I think I let it sit out, and then just ate it in 2 days. And then I don't know what the hell I did with the second one. I think I ate that one all in 1 day. But the first time that I stored it in the fridge, I just stored it in the fridge exposed to the air. And it got kind of dry and hard. Then I wrapped it the next time that I stored it in the fridge. And it was moist but hard. So this time, I stored it out in the open, in the kitchen, wrapped. And it's pretty much exactly what it was after it cooled off, which is moist and soft. So, but, I mean, even when I get it right out of the oven or whatever, and, let it cool off a bit, it's still drying. It's still going to suck the water out of your mouth, even though it's still moist. Bread. But it's good either way. So I don't mind. I will consider this recipe, the way that I've done it, a success. In fact, although I haven't tried it with whole fat Greek yogurt yet, so far the sour cream method is winning out. Makes it just a bit fluffier. And while subtle, there does seem to be a bit more of a flavor profile. The whole thing isn't overwhelmingly flavorful or sweet or anything. Nothing. It's not boring. It's just not all up in your face. Everything is relatively muted. The whole thing is, pretty homogeneous as it is. So that's part of one of the reasons why. But yeah, I mean, like, there's subtleties to it. Occasionally I get a hit of the cinnamon. Coconut oil doesn't really seem to, like, be any kind of pronounced, which is interesting because usually it's pretty pronounced on its own. It's not super sweet. It's not super banana-y either. It's almost confusing, but like in a good way. It's like your body and your mind and your mouth and everything are trying to ascertain, and they're all being activated, and they're all being like, yo, dude, what the fuck is going on? It's almost like chaos, but organized. It's fascinating. I find it really interesting. It's just, a bunch of well-rounded flavors, nice, evenly balanced. Nothing really stands out. Now, that could be the fact that, this recipe typically has actual almonds in it and almond butter, and those might, change things up a bit. And it also has cardamom in it when I don't have any and the store didn't have any. Like, Food for Less does not sell cardamom in their spice aisle. Oh, excuse me. So it's not something I could get. But also at the same time, like, I got this big ass thing of cinnamon that, might as well use that. And cinnamon pretty much is typical for banana bread as well. Now, as Claire says, and as I will verify, cinnamon, even when you put more into it, it's still kind of more of a background thing and not so much a foreground. And so that's the thing about her recipe, where that definitely differs from mine, is that hers does have the cardamom, which is more upfront. And so that will create more of that contrasting balancing act than mine does. But it's still good. Like, obviously the main contrast is the nut topping, the butternut topping. .8% gluten-forming content. Good to know, whole wheat flour. And the bread flour is 12.7%, it says, so that's cool. I wonder what the asterisk means. Where are you at? Why gluten-forming protein matters in flour. The amount of gluten-forming protein in flour determines the final structure of your baked goods. Higher protein flour creates more gluten for a chewier structure, while lower protein creates less for a delicate, finer crumb. Which is what I'm getting too, because I got a nice, fine crumb. Relatively uniform. I mean, even this slice looks good with just a little swirly top. It's great. I also watched all of Alvin Zhu's videos last night. Like, I just happened to run into one of them, and then I just kept watching the rest of them. And I've watched already most of them as it was. I didn't realize he had more that I hadn't seen. Like, you know, he has the 100-hour tiramisu and the 48-hour what is it, I think it was 48-hour cookie and everything. And so obviously his titles are tantalizing, sensationalist in that way, but they're true too, in that he has them rest for one one reason or another. Purpose is what I was trying to say. And I'd already seen his tiramisu, I'd seen his beef Wellington, but I mean, like, I ended up watching all of them again, and beef Wellington was the last one I watched, and it's just like, dude's an artist. I mean, no question about it. Alvin is straight up an artist when it comes to food. His shot composition is pretty good. You know, the way that he's got his kitchen set up and everything, it's nice and clean. Obviously, you know, not like mine, where mine is a fucking mess. And I mean, I don't know, you know, what you don't see, of course, because there's a lot of cameras and shit. But, you know, it's well done. And it's interesting to watch. You know, now that I think about it, no matter how much I try, nothing in my presence stays clean for long. And let's go back to the beginning of that sentence. No matter how hard I try. Because generally speaking, even when I do try, and even when I do succeed, somehow it falls into disarray so much faster, or maybe not even faster, maybe in such a way that, you know, because of my time blindness, it feels fast, no matter what, every time, which is kind of annoying. Yeah. Not fond of that. mean, literally the cleanest that that Airbnb was after I got there was the day I left. And it's not to say that I wasn't trying in some way or another, but it's difficult. Including tip, I spent almost $150 on groceries yesterday. I would say the most expensive individual item that I got was probably the coconut oil. Because it was just over $10. Almost 11. The panko was under 10. Each of the flours were about, okay, so the all-purpose was like not even $3. The other two flours were like in between 6 and 7 each. Got a big ass bag of rice, but that's not $10. It's 5 pounds. 5 pounds of rice is not $10, even if it's really, really, really good, expensive rice, generally speaking. I got this box of gallon freezer bags because I was running out and I'm gonna need some for the various flours. I got the 2 chicken trays, the family packs. Those were both really good prices. I mean, they were in the $8 range, but I was expecting to spend about $15 on it. Ah, fuck, I didn't get any pickles. Damn. Because this is one of the things I wanted to do. I wanted to get a pickle jar in order to transfer the pickling solution that I currently have. Or I can work about that later. So there's 2 new things that I want to try out with regards to baking. I've been talking about it for at least a week, I think, if not longer. Pâte à choux is something that I want to do. The first main thing is, just some basic ingredients: water, milk, flour, and I think maybe some salt and sugar. I don't have extra sugar, but I'm not going to be cooking the banana bread for a bit. And I can probably just get some from Food for Less anyway, so I might go next week when I get the car. Because a week from tomorrow, I'll need to pick up the car and figure out what the fuck I'm going to do with it. I at least need to go to the mailbox. Yeah, pick up, I think I've got 2 shipments of socks there now, which is good. From the Awesome Socks Club. I got some more peppercorns as well, so that was useful. The most expensive item that I got, now that I remember, individual item that is, was this 2-pound ground beef. It was like 11 something. And all this is gonna go into my meatloaf. All 2 pounds of it. Got some eggs. Those were about $7. I did the math. It was like 23 cents an egg in that 30 count. So a little over 23 cents, but still. Got some extra bananas. Got carrots. I got the onions. But just all that stuff added up pretty quickly. So, but it's also a bunch of stuff that should last me a while too, for the most part, other than the ground beef. I don't do ground beef much these days. So I'm gonna try out Adam Marusia's skillet method of doing meatloaf. I've got that can of tomato sauce I can throw in, a little extra sugar or something, maybe a bit of oil, we'll see. I'll see what his recipe was and then try to modify it to the best of my ability. And then that'll make it, of course. Obviously the extra rice is there for the good stuff, but yeah. And homemade pizza dough. So yeah, I am going to do some more cooking today. I need to do the recording thing, so after I take a shower, which will probably be relatively soon after this, I need to, when actually recording, I mean for the job thing that I haven't responded to yet. So yeah, that's my plan, and I'm gonna do my best to stick to it. Have fun.